real quick, do you know who someone was asking me about this Skyout person?
Oh yeah, I debated Skyout on Modern Day Debate. Skyout, he's different. Skyout is the greatest of all time.
Yeah, he's the best.
I'm reading their description right now, and let me tell you, I've not read.
He's undefeated, although he's never won a debate.
Yeah.
So, like, Marty's really low.
Yeah, you're really low, Marty. But Skyout, I have fun with you, but Skyout, I think he's slightly different than the Standing for Truth. Definitely on a different level than Matt Powell.
You mind inviting him?
He's like a Darth Dawkins light. He's a
Skyout, would you like to come in? Skyout, I'll send you. Do I still have your email, Skyout? That's the question.
I see the email. I see the email address here in his description. I'm loving these. I'm going to be repeating myself in debates.
Yeah.
I have perfected my arguments to a science. I'm a tactician. I'm accurate. I'm calculated. Sometimes, evidently, you can't form proper sentences, but that's fine. I use this thing over and over again in a circle. So my argument is accurate and calculated. I come from the highest quality of theological.
Hey, if he comes on Dragnauct, he's gonna repeat everything you're reading.
He's gonna say that twice. Actually, he'll say it twice. He'll say it when he comes in the room and again right before he leaves.
Yeah. After you just handed him everything about his asshole, he'll be like, 8-0. I'm 8-0 now.
Correct me if I'm wrong, everybody, but didn't Skylar and I have a conversation with him?
Yes.
Yeah. Two actually. Yeah.
Two. Okay.
And I say this guy out with love, man, because like you're not a Matt Powell. You're fun. You're fun. I enjoy having fun with you.
I don't think he's ever encountered me before, though.
No, he don't. I have a feeling
you would know,
Skyou's not going to be like, yeah, send me a link right now.
If you did talk to Drag, you would know because you would have lost.
Yeah, definitely.
Lost. Oh,
yeah,
man.
No question. I mean,
apparently
I did too, and Skylar did. So.
At the Randy Atheist, LOL, I never lose.
Take down my F to Dr. Josh in the corner here. Dr. Josh lost? Oh,
yeah, twice apparently. Awesome.
What I can't figure out about Skyout is he like this little dorky ass dude, whiter than snow, or is he this big 700-pound Mexican dude? I just can't figure it out. Skyout, I need to be informed. Send invite. All right, Sky's gonna come on.
So
we'll see if I still got his ego.
Is he like an evidentialist, like science proves my point?
I think he's
no.
Drag, I feel like it's more fun to just find out as it comes.
Okay, don't tell me. I like the thing.
Yeah.
Carlton can probably definitely tell you.
This is one of the things about being on Skylar's channel is, and again, he bears the brunt of it. So I kind of like hide in the back and just speak when I want to. But you catch these people just as they come. Because we don't know anything about them when they come on. You get like the Misha Popovs. That's like,
that was hilarious. Skyout, do I have your email? I don't know if Skyout actually. No, that was praise. Skyout, do I have your email?
Like there were things that I've heard on YouTube, and I've told people, like I was talking to an astronomer up at Hopkins, and he's been doing astronomy at an elite level for like 35 years, and he was talking about this satellite that's been out in space. This was a year ago. Been out in space for like. I don't know, however long, and it's been taking all these calculations outside of the atmosphere, so they're really, really accurate. And and I said, yeah, it's funny. I run into people a lot on YouTube that think the Earth is flat, and there was just this silence. And then he said, people don't believe that. And I said, no, they really do. It's like a big deal. And I thought that's going to be the weirdest thing that I've ever heard. But then Misha Popov said that in the Ark of the Covenant there was gunpowder. And that's what brought down the walls of Jericho. And I was like, well.
That's not the strangest thing I ever heard. There's a guy here years ago named Arcane Logos. He was a friend of G-Man, actually. And he said the Ark of the Covenant actually was a power source, and it had radiation, and that it would start tunes and acted as a power source. I think there was some type of space travel or space alien technology also involved in it. And I said, whatever weed you're smoking, I would definitely love some.
Right.
They just watched the Indiana Jones series. So.
I was going to totally say that. Like, he's watching way too much Indiana Jones.
He's just conflating them.
There was a part where he took a little bit out of the lore of from X-Men from Abin Sur, Apocalypse. Yeah, he took a little bit out of there too, and I was just like, this really sounds familiar to me. You sure you didn't take this from X-Men, the animated series? No, okay. Oh, well.
Sokka, do I talk to Sokka on Twitter or email? Man, I get lost with this social media crap.
You want me to give Sokka a link?
Yeah, give Sokka a link.
Sokka,
Lisa, for truth, I'll try to remember you when I get back, and that'll probably be it. But I'm gonna go and fill up my drink. Enjoying the conversation. You guys go ahead, please.
Hey, Marty, is your mic? Is it the? Yeah, it still feels like sounds like you're pretty far away.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. I'm getting an echo. That's why I turned it down a little bit. Yeah, I sent an email to Knock when he was talking about having to get that he wasn't done with Matt. I'm like, if you go after him about his homophobia, because I'm bisexual, I go, fucking let me in on that. So I want to nail this fucking shit to the wall. Well,
here's something that this is what I always love to do. That's people who are really homophobic like that. They go, you know what? There's no point to homosexual. They're not reproducing. And I'm like, well, then that's true for people who are heterosexual and are sterile.
Right,
yeah. I can't have kids. I can't have kids.
So we should kill you.
I should be killed.
You should be killed. So
or my marriage isn't valid because I can't produce children. I went into menopause early, and I'm sterile. So what's the point of me even?
But they won't go that far. They usually won't go that far. And
yeah, so, I mean, blowjobs, I guess, are out.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it sucks,
So you have to say, okay, all right. But if it's not natural, then why is it that for a male the erogenous zone is on their prostate? Why is that then? If it's not natural, and I've never actually gotten an answer for that ever.
There's a lot of shit you won't get answers for. I've actually asked people why am I, as a bisexual pagan, what morals and values am I lacking? Because I've heard that, you don't have family values, you don't have morals because I have a family and I value them. I have morals. I value family and people. I say I hate people because I'm a cynic and it comes from working in retail and restaurants for almost 20 years. I'll be 42 next month. That's why I work with dogs. That's what I tell people because I hate people. But I value people and I value, my family and I value families in general. But what is the morals and values I'm lacking for the simple fact that I'm not heterosexual? What? And I've never gotten an answer for this.
Dude, it's I don't have any morality because I don't believe in Yahweh, or I don't have any morality, or because I don't believe in Allah. I know Skyout's here. He could probably tell me how I don't have morality, but like this is I think this is why polytheist, pagans, and atheists and agnostics, we get along so well because I think we can understand this. Just the stigma of not being the normal is there to begin with. It just is.
I'm more interested in what people believe. Hey, Sokka, you ready to play tag?
I don't know. This is weird having Sokka in here without some kind of sock thingy going on.
Yeah, defaulted to the wrong account.
So Skyout, how you doing?
What's up, Dr. Josh?
Skyout.
Hello.
Sorry, I had to unmute. How you doing, Skyout?
Hey, what's up, man?
And Marty, I just have to say, there's no way I'd have pegged you at 42.
Oh, thanks.
I would have heard the same exact thing.
Impossible. I'd have
You
never
would have pegged her at a much earlier age, I'm sure.
Yeah. Sorry, I should be more precise.
Phrasing. Well, thank you, Dr. Josh. I appreciate that.
Also, and then I promise I'll mute. But my wife can only hear the what I'm saying, and so when I out of nowhere just said, I guess blowjobs are out, it was sort of a weird sound from the other room. So.
And that's why I have my speakers going so my wife can hear everything, and so there's no question about what's being said.
No
back like this.
That's why I'm not married.
My husband's in the other room, and he'll just go to me like, "What are you talking about?" Oh, we're talking about blowjob. I'm like, okay.
No big deal. Send one over the internet. Just wait. Just hold on here.
This is to get serious again. This is a perfect opportunity for me, for my documentary, to get a Christian's perspective on Matt Powell. Go.
Ooh.
Pressure. And just understand that if you agree with Matt Powell, I'm going to label you a homophobic and boot you
he
from the
said
chat.
BRB.
I'm just messing with you, man.
Oh,
Go
it
ahead.
ran away.
He said
BRB.
in the
Yeah,
thing.
I'm actually curious because I think I've listened to a little bit of what he's had to say, but I've never actually engaged him. And so I love running across people for the first time. And this girl is here. One sec. Hey, you know what? Put her on.
Doctor, not doctor. The Messenger Reveals thinks that Matt Powell is repulsive. John,
Yeah.
the Messenger, and he's like, that's not. So something that kind of confuses me is I guess, lack of inconsistency of Christianity between Christians. There are Christians that say that no true Christian supports LGBT people, and there are Christians that say, of course, you can't be a Christian and hate anybody. So it's like,
Well, you know, like for me, honestly, and I'm probably gonna take the not so famous stance. I don't know the best way to put it. All right, so for me, honestly, like I would almost rather you be a Matt Powell than say a Christian that's gonna tell a gay person, oh, it's okay for you to be gay as long as you don't be gay, right? Like
you can be gay, you just can't.
you can't act on being gay.
Right.
You can't do the gay stuff.
You're okay. You know, you can be in the church, whatever. It's gross. Just don't act on it. Like I find that almost more disturbing than just Matt Powell being like, you know what, I hate you.
There's somebody that I talk to fairly often who remarked on that. Kind of the more, I guess, liberal Christians are a bit more annoying to him as they don't necessarily put forward their best foot. In that when you are talking to someone who's a radical evangelical, they're going to be fairly consistent with their message. They're not going to, offer concessions here and then try and reconcile it later. And I think that I understand definitely where he's coming from, even though the more, I guess, liberal Christians are easier to deal with. They're more palpable to have, in conversations. So,
Well, and to put that out there are a lot of Christians that just accept gay people into their churches now. Like I don't want to paint yeah. So I mean, they are coming a long way. And then you have your Matt Powells and you have your people like, all right, yeah, just don't be gay and don't talk about it. But I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Go ahead, Drag. I'm sorry.
Also, you got some super chats there, man.
Yeah, really
I'm,
nice ones.
I really got off of my little thingy here. All right, awesome. Yeah, holy crap.
There's also the thing that bugs me when we're told the sexual lifestyle, the homosexual lifestyle, or whatever. I'm like, I'm bisexual. I don't have, my lifestyle is no different to anybody else's. I get up, I go to work, I have a husband, I have pets, I have a house,
An orgy.
That too. I mean, duh. So I don't live a different life to straight people. It's so different. So this whole like, well, I don't condone your lifestyle. You don't condone me what? Going to work and paying taxes? What the fuck lifestyle are you talking about?
I have the blonde hair lifestyle. People don't condone that.
I don't condone that, sir.
And I don't
really don't.
Your white headphones, Dr. Josh. That's the lifestyle that I don't condone because my headphones are black and red, and it's ridiculous. It's what's different are maybe our sex lives. And if you don't condone my sex life, I'm not fucking you, so don't worry about it. Like,
look upon my fields where fucks are grown. They are barren.
It's what I really don't understand. And before I forget, Heavy Holler, thank you very much for the awesome super chats. $5 from Heavy Holler, $10. Dragon Soccer in the house and worth $10 maybe. Definitely worth $10. But I that's one of the questions I don't get. And maybe Skyout, if you want to jump in, and anybody, Carlton, feel free to jump in. It's one of the questions I get a lot from Christians that I just don't understand. Like they think that I'm different now. Like no, like, in fact, like I think my morality has grown since I've lost God. Like I actually think about life and like there's no do-overs anymore, right? Like this is the one life that I have. So I'm trying to live it. I'm trying to write this book and I'm trying to do this YouTube thing. And like what motivation do you have if you think that there's something else? Like, and I don't pretend to know if there is or not. Like I'm one of those atheists. Like I don't believe in, I believe in possibilities, so like it's definitely a possibility. I hope to see my mom again. When my dad goes, I would love to see my dad again. I had a friend die when we were teenagers. I would love to see that guy again. I just don't think it'll ever happen. Like, I don't know. Like
There's a point that I had made some time ago when I was sitting down. I was trying to think of, I mean, not necessarily a rebuttal, but trying to put into context what it is that atheists live for, because oftentimes we'll hear that, well, what do atheists have to live for if there's nothing in their afterlife to look to? And I've always kind of just dismissed that because it's like, well, you're just repeating this narrative. But after I sat down and I really understood what they were getting at, I said, you know what, this deserves a cogent point to kind of be put forth so that they do understand, because I think that some of them are just saying it, but others don't know.
Well,
so I said, well, look, if you value what's here, what's right now, more so than the next person, then you're going to do everything in your power to make sure that there is something here when you pass. Because, hey, I don't know if there's something after this, so I'm going to make the best of this now.
Yeah, like you want to speak about immortality? Talk to me about Shakespeare. Don't talk to me about a sky god. Like you can't achieve immortality with actions done in life. And that's more of what I think about. Like, man, like, I've always said this. Like, one day I'm gonna be long dead, and somebody's gonna find a box of my writings, and my real name, not my Native American name, but my white Christian name, is gonna be known by everybody because it's brilliant, I tell you. But right now, I'm the only one that knows it.
He who runs with mouth. So, but no, that's a good point. It's like, for me, I said I wanted to make my mark upon the annals of medical history. I want to contribute somehow to the malady that is cancer, because it doesn't matter what you believe, it doesn't matter who you praise, cancer is going to come for you one way or another. So if I can help alleviate that in some way, shape, or form, then I've done something with my life. Now, that's for me personally. And so I would hope that other people feel the same way, at least to some degree, so that we could possibly progress society and make it better than it was when we got here. But if someone is religious and they're more concerned with the afterlife, then I can't really say how much they care for this life.
Right. Yeah.
They really think that that's the end goal.
Well, and like, have they even read their like the like? Not very many people's getting in. Like I just don't understand how anybody thinks it's gonna be me. Like when I read the Gospels, I'm like, there ain't no way it's gonna be me.
It's one of the great paradoxes, I think. When I was in the Air Force for 10 years and I worked on the flight line.
Sorry.
Huh? Oh. That's all right. That's all right.
Oh, yeah. I think that might be the third time Drag has
Drag
what, on my channel.
Did you serve, Drag?
In the Army, yeah.
Yeah. That's all right. He couldn't get in the Air Force. That's okay. Surprising, man. You're pretty smart now. Man, I remember being down. It's a complete aside now, but I remember being down at Cherry Point, North Carolina, on a TDY and leaving my shift that I think I might have been there an hour, going back to the Sheridan, and making $33 a day, and I'm stepping over the Marines who are sleeping on the floor, the concrete floor of the hangar, with their M16s, with the strap around their legs so that somebody doesn't snatch it, and they're making $3 a day, sleeping there. And I thought, this is why I'm in the Air Force. So yeah, I'm cool with it. Go ahead, say what you want. No, but it was one of the great paradoxes because I remember I used to preach Christ all the time on the flight line, all the time. It's what I wanted to be known for. And one of the things that I used to say is, look, if we were on the C5, I wasn't over Air Force Base. We worked on that big C5. If we're up in 30,000 feet in the air and all of a sudden the engines go and the plane's just plummeting toward the earth, are we going to try to fix the UHF radio? No, we're just going to abandon ship. Right. And that's the way this is, like this earth, it's going to be destroyed by fire. So why are we so concerned with like the environment and yeah, I mean, we've got to just abandon ship. We need to praise Jesus and get saved and, lead that. And it was like, that was the mentality. So environmentalism and, all those things are like, what?
Huh? You were Dominionist?
How you guys doing?
Hey, Scott. You were a Dominionist, Dr. Josh, where like we have dominion over the earth and don't worry about it because God's gonna handle shit. So
yeah, I mean this plane's going down, right? I mean, he's gonna come back. You read Revelation. I mean, it's all gonna get destroyed and remade. So, focusing on doing things for the good of humanity. Wow, why would we do that? Because we just need to lead the lost to Christ. And when you lead, it's so funny because it's not funny. It's obviously really sad. But when you think about morality and you think about doing good for those around you, that's very antithetical. And the person that doesn't hold those positions is actually the one that's doing, as you guys have been saying, doing what's good for those around you and those that come after. So,
Are you an atheist, Dr. Josh? Or you're agnostic, right?
Agnostic, yeah.
Yeah, he's agnostic. One of the things that I think really got to me in my last video, I spoke to people that I was trying to speak to people that are hopeless. And mass people just start thumbs down and like automatically, because mass people are commenting. And I'm like, how can you even call yourself Christian and do that? Like the Christians I know, at least pretended to have humanity. You don't even pretend anymore. Like you guys are just all monsters and you support monsters and you can't even see it. Like to you, this is great stuff. Like Skyout, I didn't get your answer. Like,
What's up?
How do you see human beings, Skyout? Like, how do you see human beings? Hello?
How do I see
the homosexual question, man.
Okay. Well, there's a difference between moral ontology. If you're asking if morals are objectively exist independently by people, or if morals are merely just a mental construct of people and therefore inseparable from people. So morality is a distinction between right and wrong. So it could be moral epistemology, not to get confused with moral ontology. Moral epistemology is the study of moral knowledge and related to different types of phenomenon. So the homosexual question, I mean, obviously as a Christian, coming from my ultimate authority would be everybody has a fallen nature. It's not just homosexuality, but it's the drunkard, the thief, the sinner, the prostitute. And that's why we say that God has the power to change the lives of those people that were once like that, and now they turned from their ways and repented in Jesus' name, and now they're a different person.
Well,
but not every. Go ahead.
That's funny because Knock, when you went to prison, weren't you a Christian?
Yeah, that's the thing that, my mom's best friend. I've known this woman since I was 12 years old, and even back when I was a homophobe. She was not included in that because she was awesome to me. Always has been my entire life. And I don't think I quite understood that the other woman in the house was her wife. I thought they were like roommates for a long time. And these are some of the people that really led me out of my homophobia eventually. These people live normal lives. They had the same dreams. They want to, right now, on the cut, they're about to die, honestly. They're very old, frail people, and they just want to see their grandchildren thrive. And guess what heterosexual people want to do? They want to see their grandchildren thrive. It's the same thing, man.
Life is no different.
It's the same thing.
The same. Skyout, do you have a job? No, I'm being serious. Do you have a job?
Of course, yeah.
I have a job. I'm bisexual. Do you pay taxes?
Okay.
I pay taxes. How about that?
See, this whole Jesus and God thing comes in the way of you seeing human beings for being what they are as human beings. And I guarantee you that Jesus Christ that I read about in the Gospels, if he were alive today, if this character were alive today, you can say he is, but quite literally he ascended into space, and we know human beings can't live in space, but let's not get into that discussion. So I mean, we literally die in space, yo. But okay, beyond that, if he were alive today, I guarantee you he would be pro LGBTQ. The Jesus I read in the Bible, I would think would be smart enough to automatically advance with the 2,000 years of information, right? And he would come to the compassionate conclusion that I as God have created all of you. And be you. Just don't kill people and rape people. Why are we so worried about people having consensual sex
With
when
other
so many people, religious and non-religious, and this and that and that and this, and are doing horrible things.
Well, let me ask you a question. Is it okay for, let's say, a little boy at the ages of 9 to hold another little boy's hand and have gay feelings at the ages of 7 and 8? Wouldn't it be bad for children?
That's not a gay man. That's a pedophile.
No. He's talking about children.
No,
He's talking about 2 children.
So say that again. I'm sorry.
Two 9-year-olds basically having
2
affection.
9-year-old boys.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that at all, Skyout. No.
I mean, when I was 9 years old, I liked girls. So
I know
what's
I
the
was girls
difference?
and boys
You
when
know,
I was
like, and this just goes to show that it's a born thing. Like this is a natural thing that people go through. They're not going to like somebody that they don't like. I liked girls. I didn't like boys. Never wanted to touch a boy. But when I was 9 years old, I really wanted to touch girls. I did. And I have, my daughter's 9. This thought terrifies me.
Have you seen Caitlyn Jenner? Obviously Bruce Jenner. It has become Caitlyn Jenner.
Yeah.
And it's one of the few things I like about her. Because her politics are atrocious. I don't agree with her politics. But man, the bravery of being Bruce fucking Jenner, and then you know what? I'm not. I am me. I mean, I despise her politics, and I think she might be coming around a little bit. But
well, hold on.
Man, I applaud her coming out.
Well, Raging, I'm curious. What does transsexuals have to do now with homosexuality? Because it seemed like a bit of a pivot.
It destroys the family image.
Well, I think from a Christian perspective, it's all of a reprobate mind. But then you label me that. I mean, not you, Skyout, personally, but Matt Powell does. Ben the Baptist does. You know.
Well, hold on. What do you mean by the family?
Yeah.
What is the family image?
Explain that.
Dad wants to be mother. Mother wants to be dad. Boy wants to be sister. Sister wants to be brother. So that destroys the family.
Are they not still family?
So, well, hold on for a second. Let me.
Exaggeration. Like
Stop. Please let Drag.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
That's the world that's coming to now. We're not going to have dad and mom and brother and sister. It's going to be the same sex between everyone because everyone wants to be gender neutral.
Not everyone.
So hold on for a second. I just there's so much to unpack here. There's literally so much to unpack.
I'm part of that family,
so
I'm trying.
do you have a problem with gender roles, or do you have a problem with people identifying as certain genders? Because there's a conflation here.
No, absolutely.
Okay, so because you just mentioned gender roles when in a conversation about people's orientation.
Sure. Oh, I said the family image.
Right, but that has to do with gender roles, not their actual orientation.
Sure. Okay.
Right, you know there's a difference, right?
Go ahead. What is the difference?
Okay, so I can identify as a woman if I want to, but I can still hold the position of a man.
Right.
That's something completely separate.
Okay.
All right. So if you're talking,
what I'm saying, if you have a psychological disorder like what Bruce Jenner did, and you've got a
psychological disorder.
So what's your evidence that it's a psychological?
Let's let him finish. Let's let him finish first.
All right. Yeah.
Well, I don't mean to be rude or offending, but I am a Christian, and that to me, if a person through surgery and go through drugs and surgery and radical drugs to change their body to become a woman, I don't know if you consider that natural or unnatural, and is that damaging to children at the ages of young children? When they see a man that's a woman, how does a little boy or little girl react? Is that good or is that bad? Is that accepted in the community?
Okay.
So go ahead.
Oh, there's a few things here, because first you had mentioned the fact that you have somebody who is identifying as something outside of the normal paradigm, and the effect that would have on someone who is young. Well, if someone who is young is being cultured in a way to only accept binary, then that might have some type of adverse effect. But there are plenty of societies that have practiced bigamy, polygamy, and various types of systems that has no adverse effect. But I would actually challenge you to find a society that practices these things, but then somehow also show that has a negative impact on like their psychological development, as well as what you had stated earlier about them having, and when I say them, transgendered individuals having a psychological disorder that would cause them to then do this. Is that something that you've actually read literature about?
the only reason I say psychological disorder is because statistically speaking, if you look at the suicide rates for transsexuals, it's a lot higher for them, and that's why we preach them the gospel, because we don't want them to do radical.
You don't think stigma from society, constant ridicule, people like you saying that you are wrong for being you, doesn't have some role to play in high suicide? I just addressed this when it comes to atheism, isolationism, people rejecting you. These are all psychological traumas that are very hard to recover from. Now, we live in a secular society, but we live in a secular society that has been dominated for a couple hundred years by a Christian religion that would marginalize and stigmatize these people to not be themselves. Can you not understand the psychological ramifications of that? Can you not understand, just, I'm a Native American, right?
Okay.
So my people, and I don't claim full blood. I'm of mixed descent. I'm Irish and Native American, but my Native peoples, right? We have been systematically killed off.
Okay.
Killed off. 96% of Native American peoples have been exterminated from this country, right? So when you attack the marginalized, for me, I try to imagine myself the way that I am right now, born as a woman, if I would not do everything I possibly could be to become the human being that I really am. Now, luckily, I was born in this body and it's sexy. But if I wasn't, would I not want to become who I really am? And for me, it's hard to empathize on that level. It's hard to get there. And for a long time, I didn't, Skyout. I really didn't. I looked at that and I'm like, ugh. But now I look at it and I'm like, that's a brave human being.
Can I real quick ask a question to Dr. Josh? So a lot of Christians like Skyout are saying well, I'm a Christian, so this is wrong. And I'm a Christian, so this is wrong. Is there a biblical doctrinal obligation to marginalize and or persecute anybody LGBT, or are they just misinterpreting the script?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably a lot there to unpack. Hermeneutical approaches to the biblical text, I think, are what, of course, drive that. So, I mean, if you're asking if there are biblical passages that condemn homosexuality, yeah, I think there probably are. The problem with that is twofold. One, I think you'd have to say that with the assumption that the original text of certain passages probably more than likely did not, and you're looking at later editorial redactions. But secondly, the Bible endorses slavery. So, I think that sometimes I wonder if trying to get at what some of these passages about homosexuality say sometimes can be not irrelevant, because obviously it's not irrelevant, but not necessary, and in some ways, for the argument, not necessary, because there's no reason to to try to make the biblical text, the Hebrew Bible, not say things about chattel slavery that it says. So, yeah, I mean, I would say there are definitely passages, we talked about it earlier, like Leviticus 18. I think Dr. Dershowitz has a really good position there. Also, Thomas Romer in 2018 wrote an article where he makes the comparison between Gilgamesh and Enkidu in the various places that you see those two in Sumerian and Akkadian literary texts, and David and Jonathan, right? And of course, there's quite a bit of overlap. And the problem, I think, is that you don't have, number one, uniformity of what you want to say, doctrinal positions throughout the biblical text, right? So this idea that there is, from Genesis to Revelation, this uniform idea.
Well, there's also the historical record and the data points that fit the model, and there's various models and data points that would fit and may not fit in during the biblical, during the ancient Near East. And if you have those data points in the historical record, and you can fit any prophecy or any false god in that context, and it would fit the model exactly the same way. But that, to me, that would be abusing and misusing the text, because I wouldn't use that model. I'd only use the biblical model for the record. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, if you presuppose that your interpretive approach, the inerrancy of Scripture, not yours, Skyout, I'm just saying, if one were to presuppose, okay, the biblical text is the inspired Word of God, and in its 66 books, or if you're Catholic and you include other texts, that's fine. That's then that's going to drive your conclusion, and I think rightfully so. I think that's consistency. I don't think it's correct, but it's consistent. So yeah, sure, you could.
Are you drawing the connection to slavery and homosexuality and that conflict or contradiction in the nature of God, and that's why you're agnostic, or?
Is that why I'm agnostic? Is that what you said?
Yeah, because you said like the slavery part kind of bothers you. Maybe that's why you're not sure if God exists, because it's contradictory to his nature. And maybe the homosexuality part you don't like. There's so many great people that are gay.
Oh, no. I mean, I would say that my agnosticism is probably far more complex than that. But
yeah, I don't think, like, Dr. Josh, weren't you a preacher down in like the South?
Right.
Yeah, in Virginia. I mean,
yeah. So I mean, you don't come to agnosticism lightly. I wouldn't imagine.
No, I mean, if anybody wants to be bored for an hour and a half, you can, on our channel, we've got a monologue that I did called from, boy, what did we call it? From, what is it, sweetheart?
From the pulpit to the pool party.
That was evangelical to agnosticism, or agnostic and academic's journey. That's what it's called.
Like, if you came out with Dragnauct's answer, I was gonna be like, no way.
Change that title to what Dragnact
So
here's
my thing, right? So in Native American tradition, right? So we have accounts from tribes for thousands of years, since probably the first Native Americans crossed that land bridge and came to this country, right? Of people in society dressing as women, and these people were accepted and treated as women. We have stories of transgendered people throughout the history of humanity. God created everything, if he existed, in the way that you, Skyout, and other Christians, and I give you props, you're here, you're really outloaded, but like, God created everything. God created these people to suffer, right? And you're saying just continue to suffer. Don't become who you really are. And I don't understand how you can justify that.
Don't become who you are?
Yeah, like you're criticizing Caitlyn Jenner for becoming who she was, instead of legitimate things like her atrocious political policies that you probably actually agree with. I'm not going to pretend to know your political leanings, but most Christians tend to lean right. She would agree with most of the things you believe in. But you're going to criticize her for being the person that she is, instead of being this alpha male Bruce Jenner that she pretended to be for a long time, when you can't seem to empathize with that struggle she went through.
I don't
think that the struggle is everything.
Yeah, I don't mean to criticize her. I was just saying the fact that he went through surgery and through drugs, and that was just
she went through surgery to become the person she always was. She was living a lie. She was I mean, this, you're talking about a person that was a gold medalist winner in an era when gay people, transsexual people weren't allowed to do that. He had to be Bruce Jenner for so long. And then like just to even come out and become Caitlyn in front of the entire world. like I don't like the Kardashians. I don't watch that garbage. But I will defend Caitlyn Jenner when it comes to this, even though I find her politics atrocious. I don't agree with much that she stands for. I'm a progressive. I'm against like the rich. It's like one of my core things as a human being. I'm against like really rich people that abuse their wealth. And the Kardashians are that. But I'm going to sit here and defend her on this every single moment that I can draw a breath, because I can't. To me, it's just bravery. And maybe one of the greatest examples of bravery. And it's a person I don't agree with.
Yeah, no,
Go ahead,
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna just, I guess, go back to the whole lifestyle, like, you know, homosexual lifestyle or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm bisexual, so I'm married to a man right now. So to you, I'm okay, right?
As
I don't.
long as you don't act out on that homosexuality, Mark.
Right. So as long as I'm married to a man, I'm okay. But if I was with a woman in the exact same committed type of relationship, why is that not okay?
Yeah, I don't mean to make any accusations or judgments or to be rude or anything like that. We just have two different worldviews. I have a Christian worldview, and there's different categories that how we see the world.
Can you step away from the Bible for a second and give me an actual answer as to why you think that's not okay?
That's like me asking you to step out of your homosexuality. It just cannot be done.
Well, I'm not homosexual, I'm bisexual, first of all. And as
It's totally not the same thing. Totally not. But I mean, Scott, you're in the sport. You're here.
Well, let's hold on for a second. I want to give Skyout a chance to kind of respond to some of this, because he's been
He's
from three different angles.
He's taking a brunt.
So Skyout, I understand, you know, you have your convictions, and so what you're expressing here is an extension of the things that you believe, because you defer to the Bible as your source of moral edict. Your moral barometer is based on the biblical text. Am I correct?
Well, not exactly. Let me clarify that. My argument is not that you have to believe in God in order to be a good person or to live a good moral life. There's a lot of people that don't believe in God that live great lives and live moral lives. The argument has nothing to do about believing in God. The argument is that without God, there isn't any absolute measurement or standard of right and wrong, and therefore everything is just evolution. Our moral values are spins off of socio-biological evolution. So that's all atheistic view is on moral values.
Really?
They're unwilling to accept the idea that anything is just, you know, in nature, and that's begging the question in favor of atheism. That's presupposing that atheism is true without any good evidence. So there's a circular argument for the only reason that believing in atheism is that they already accept a conclusion.
But I mean, like seriously, even with God though, like, do you need God to understand certain things? Like, you know, like God created nerve endings, right? So we understand without God that if you like stab something into your flesh, that hurts. That hurts. So like we don't want to feel that. So most rational human beings aren't going to inflict that pain we don't want to feel on other people. You don't need God for that. Common sense. I mean, common sense.
I think there's a lot to unpack within Skyout, because he packed in a theory of knowledge. He packed in a particular, or it would seem to be one of a bit of normative ethics. He was edging towards physicalism there. He went more towards philosophical, philosophical naturalism. Thank you. Than you know, when most of us don't really hold that.
Right.
I think
I'm definitely not a philosopher.
Well, yeah.
Although Drag has more than many times offered me to come in, and I'm just too busy getting his Discord. So I need to learn.
So here's where I kind of want to disabuse Scott of a few things. I think that you've presumed a whole of a hell lot about atheists. The guy who actually just disconnected, Bartholomew Roberts, and I actually have two very distinct views on morality, and we're both atheists. And so just that simple illustration can show you that. I think that before you start asserting that, well, because someone says that they don't believe in a God, that they must also fit within this very myopic paradigm that you've kind of built there.
I mean, that's like me saying all Christians are the same when that's clearly not the case.
Yeah.
Basically. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would actually approach the conversation from, okay, well, let's qualify. Well, Dragnauct, what theory of truth do you subscribe to? Because one thing that you mentioned that I first picked up on is that you mentioned absolute truth, and it's my understanding that truth as a proposition is either P or not P. There is no absolute truth. There is no kind of truthy. There is no 1/4 truth. So I'm not even sure what absolute truth even means.
Right, exactly.
Well, how do I know that God exists? I would say the same way by you do, by His revelation. So unless you start with God, you cannot know anything. How do you account for truth, reason, or logic without God?
How do you make that determination?
Hold on, Tag, you're it.